2017, Tiffany Crawford was found dead in her van with a gun in her hand. What appeared to be a simple case of suicide turned into a full-blown investigation for murder. In the charming town of Cullman, Alabama, where the sun sets on picturesque landscapes, a haunting mystery engulfed the community. On May 2, 2017, police received a harrowing call from a distressed man. He urgently reported to the authorities that his wife had been shot in the car right outside their own home. This is the case of Tiffany Crawford, a 32-year-old woman who was found dead in the driver's seat of her car on May 2, 2017. We send our love and respect to everyone who knew and loved Tiffany Crawford. Welcome back to True Crime Files. Tiffany Crawford came into this world on February 28, 1985. She was the daughter of Gerald and Cheryl McGuckin. Tiffany Crawford earned her bachelor's degree in elementary education from Athens State University in 2009. Her passion for teaching led her to become a preschool teacher, dedicating herself to shaping young minds and nurturing their potential. In 2009, after completing her studies, she tied the knot with her partner. However, fate had something unexpected in store for her. Despite being married, she crossed paths with Jason Crawford. However, their initial dating phase wasn't all roses. Jason's early life remains shrouded in mystery, but it's known that his mother, Rhonda Crawford, held significant connections as an office manager for the Cullman County Sheriffs. Jason had experienced a troubled first marriage, which he claimed ended in divorce due to his wife's affair with another man. He also had a son named Logan from his previous marriage. Nevertheless, when Jason and Tiffany began to grow closer, something sparked between them. Jason saw Tiffany as strikingly beautiful and outgoing, qualities he admired but felt he lacked. As time passed, Tiffany's marriage dissolved, and in 2011, she tied the knot with Jason. She embraced her new role as stepmother to Jason's son Logan from his previous marriage. Soon, they welcomed their own son, followed by a daughter the next year, which completed their beautiful family. Throughout the years, Tiffany remained actively engaged in her children's life, bringing them joy and happiness. But beneath the surface of the seemingly blissful family, a tale of secrets and complexities was about to explode. Tiffany Crawford, a vibrant 32-year-old woman, was a radiating beauty inside and out. She was a devoted wife, a cherished mother, a doting daughter, and a fiercely loyal friend. Her heart overflowed with love and compassion, which led her to create a Facebook group called Mothers Helping Mothers.
MHM is a community for all moms of all walks of life. It doesn't matter your background, we want to be there to love and support you.
In a moment of inspiration, she saw that countless other mothers were silently struggling and needing a safe space to share their feelings. Tiffany was living a perfect life until May 2017, when a tragedy struck and shattered their whole family. On that fateful night of May 2, 2017, as the clock struck 11 p.m., the tranquility of Cullman, Alabama, which is just 50 miles from Birmingham, was shattered. Jason Crawford, a 37-year-old man, called 911 while standing just outside his home. He urgently informed the officer, "My wife has been shot. Please send someone out here quickly." As the Cullman County Sheriff's deputies rushed to the scene, they were met with an eerie sight. Tiffany Crawford was lying motionless in the driver's seat of her car. She was holding a pink revolver in her left hand. Her husband, Jason, revealed that she always kept that firearm for protection in her driver's side door, but a camera footage revealed the tense moments that unfolded that night. As one of the deputies reached out to check for a pulse, her pink revolver slipped out of her hand and fell. The officer questioned Jason about the tragic incident, and he revealed a chilling account of events. He admitted to having a heated argument with Tiffany that night. As emotions ran high, he decided not to let her inside the house, so he hastily began collecting some of her belongings. Just as he was about to go inside, he suddenly heard the most terrifying voice from behind him. That's when it happened. The piercing sound of gunshot pierced the air, followed by a bone-chilling scream, and then another shot echoed in the darkness. Tiffany Crawford was bearing 2 fatal gunshot wounds, one to the left side of her jaw and another to her left temple. A harrowing discovery that shook the community to its core. Astonishingly, at the scene, a sheriff's deputy reportedly believed it could have been a tragic case of self-inflicted harm, a suicide. Officers frantically administered chest compressions in a desperate attempt to revive her, but despite their valiant efforts, her breath slipped away and she succumbed to the darkness. When authorities broke this news to her husband, he expressed his gut-wrenching reaction.
What they're gonna do is try to determine if they can get a pulse, okay? Check airway. Check breathing. Check circulation.
Hey, Chief. It looks like suicide to me.
That night, as gunshots echoed through the neighborhood, the young couple's innocent children, a 5-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl, were sleeping peacefully inside the house, unaware of the tragedy unfolding just outside their home. Meanwhile, a call was made by Jason's 14-year-old son Logan, who swiftly reached out to his grandparents for help. As Jason's parents rushed to the scene, the sheriff's deputies made a startling discovery. The victim's husband, Jason, was none other than the son of Rhonda Crawford, a respected office manager at the Cullman County Sheriff's Office. Cullman County Sheriff Matt Gentry was personally drawn to the scene as the victim happened to be a close relative of one of his employees. When he arrived, the gravity of the situation became apparent. The coroner's initial assessment suggested a tragic suicide, but a haunting detail puzzled everyone. There were not one, but 2 gunshot wounds. Something didn't add up. Given the personal connection and the perplexing circumstances, Sheriff Gentry made a crucial decision. He insisted on an autopsy to unearth the truth behind this baffling tragedy. As the night drew to a close, the sheriff's investigators completed their work at the crime scene. With a sense of urgency, Sheriff Gentry decided to hand over the case to the Alabama State Bureau of Investigation. Taking charge of the enigmatic case was none other than Joe Parrish, a seasoned state agent renowned for his astute investigative skills. Joe Parrish had a connection to the victim, Jason, as his mother Rhonda worked in his office, so he was determined to maintain transparency. In this gripping case, state investigator Joe Parrish took charge and began investigating. His first step was to personally examine the crime scene, the car, so he obtained a search warrant. But there was a problem. The sheriff's office had already released the car to the Crawford family the previous night. When Parrish arrived less than 24 hours after Tiffany's death, he found that the car had already been cleaned by a couple of family members. This immediately raised suspicion in his mind. Parrish came to know that the family had received permission from the sheriff's office to take the car, and they claimed that there was nothing of evidentiary value left behind. Sheriff Gentry insisted that every bit of crucial evidence had already been collected. However, with the car now cleaned, crucial clues might have been lost forever. On the night of the crime, the sheriff's deputy labeled it as a suicide, but something didn't sit right with Parrish. He immediately spotted several inconsistencies that raised eyebrows. One perplexing detail was the gun found clutched in the victim's left hand, yet she was a right-handed person. That's a red flag right there. But that wasn't all. The real shocker was the discovery of not 1, but 2 gunshot wounds to the head. The lead investigator concluded that it was almost impossible for Tiffany to use her non-dominant hand to shoot the gun twice. Something was wrong, and the mystery was far from being solved. As Parrish delved deeper into the Crawford case, shocking revelations come to light. It turned out that Tiffany was entangled in a secret affair with another man. Lindsay Luke, a close friend of Tiffany, was one of the few people who knew about this covert liaison. According to Luke, Tiffany had been planning to break free from her current life with Jason, and she had even secured a job at a local grocery store to save up for a fresh start. But here's the twist. Luke strongly denies the possibility of Tiffany taking her own life. In her words, "Suicidal people don't make plans." She firmly believed that there was nothing remotely suicidal in Tiffany's demeanor or intentions. As Joe Parrish went through the body camera footage and listened to the 911 call, he noticed a crucial detail missing. Jason Crawford never mentioned the affair. What struck Parrish even more was how strange the call sounded. It lacked the emotions one would expect from someone worried about their spouse.
911, where's your emergency?
I need someone to come out here to my house.
Tell me exactly what's going on.
My wife has been shot. She's in her van.
The 911 dispatcher repeatedly asked the critical question, "Who shot your wife?" But Crawford seemed to avoid answering it altogether. His evasive responses raised red flags, leaving everyone wondering, what was he hiding? Just 1 week after Tiffany's passing, the authorities called in Jason Crawford for questioning. He shared his account of that night in detail. According to Crawford, he had noticed a significant change in Tiffany's behavior in the months leading up to her death. She had been drinking more frequently. Additionally, Jason confirmed a crucial detail. Tiffany was right-handed. This information proved essential for the investigation led by Parrish. As the interview progressed, Crawford revealed a shocking revelation about the day of Tiffany's death. As he sat in front of his computer, he stumbled upon messages that hinted at a possible affair. Overwhelmed by emotions, he confronted Tiffany about the messages, but she vehemently denied any wrongdoing. Later that day, She returned home with her 2 kids, but Jason asked her to wait outside. He brought the kids inside the house and had a conversation with her out there. Jason Crawford revealed to Parrish that he and Tiffany engaged in a heated argument that lasted over an hour. They were standing outside the house and their emotions were raging. He adamantly refused her entry into the house. At last, she implored him to fetch her work clothes from inside. Jason went toward the house, and just as he reached for the door handle, a sudden burst of gunfire shattered the silence, followed by a harsh scream that pierced through the night. Another shot rang out, sending shockwaves through Jason's soul. With fear racing through his veins, he dashed outside, ripped open the driver's door, and dialed 911 in a frantic attempt to save her. When the interview was over, Jason was allowed to go. Just a week later, Jason Crawford was called back for another round of questioning. This time, he reluctantly agrees to undergo a polygraph test, hoping to put an end to the relentless scrutiny. He failed the polygraph test, and no arrest was made. Tiffany Crawford's autopsy report was delayed for a year due to the backlog in the state's ballistics lab. State medical examiner Dr. Valerie Green expressed skepticism about Jason's account right from the beginning. She pointed out her suspicions about the case, particularly focusing on the gunshot wound on the left side of Miss Crawford's head. This detail raised doubts in Dr. Green's mind, hinting that there might be more to the story than initially meets the eye. Green examined the wound on Tiffany's left temple and noticed something intriguing. There were no gunpowder particles or abrasions around the wound, which led her to conclude that the shot couldn't have been fired from a close range. In fact, she believed the shot must have come from at least 10 inches away. This raised a puzzling scenario. Tiffany would have had to hold her arm outstretched beyond 10 inches to shoot herself in that manner. Not impossible, but certainly not likely. What made it even more improbable was that when Crawford found Tiffany in her car, the door was shut. This detail bothered Green. Shooting oneself in the head within such a limited space would be a challenging feat. Dr. Green also noticed something troubling about the car. He recalled examining images of the driver's side door and realizing there was blood neither on the door nor on the glass. This observation raised an intriguing possibility in Green's mind that the door might not have been shut when Tiffany met her unfortunate fate. His deduction pointed towards the unsettling notion that the door was left open, possibly indicating that someone was standing there at the time of the tragic incident.
I remember looking at pictures of the driver's side door, and I didn't see any blood on that door. That makes me think that the door was not closed. And I think that that door is open because he was standing there.
March 8, 2018 marked a crucial turning point when Green concluded her investigation and officially labeled Tiffany's passing as a homicide. Fast forward to 2 months, and the Cullman County District Attorney's team presented their compelling case to the grand jury. At the time, Jeff Roberts was the Assistant District Attorney for Cullman County, and this led to the indictment of Jason Crawford, who is now facing serious charges for his involvement in his wife's tragic death. Bringing us to May 21st, 2018, just slightly over a year following Tiffany's death, Jason Crawford turned himself in at the Cullman County Sheriff's Office. Subsequent to the indictment, authorities held him in custody at the Cullman County Detention Center. However, this confinement lasted a mere half hour or so, and then he was released on a $100,000 property bond. Jason Crawford's defense team, Robert Tutton and Nicholas Weatherly, strongly asserted his innocence. Tutton confidently stated that they are convinced of Jason's innocence. He emphasized that there was no evidence of blood or any indications that he had recently used a firearm when authorities apprehended him.
They did not see blood or anything on him. They found nothing that would indicate he had fired a firearm recently.
On the night of the shooting, there was something crucial that never happened. Crawford was never tested for gunshot residue, and his house was never searched for any blood-stained clothes. His lawyers strongly believe that Jason was actually inside the house when the gunshots were heard. This belief is bolstered by his son Logan's statement to investigators. He distinctly recalls hearing his father re-enter the house just moments before the first gunshot echoed through the air. Prosecutor Jeff Roberts and his assistant Deborah Bell displayed unwavering certainty in their case against Crawford. They were convinced that no one else could have done it. According to Roberts, the only person with a motive was Jason Crawford himself.
Were you certain Jason did it?
I couldn't figure who else did it. Just no way physically possible could it happen the way that he said it happened.
Despite this confidence, Roberts admitted that they faced challenges. One officer on site believed the shooting resembled a suicide. Moreover, there existed no solid proof directly connecting Jason to Tiffany's demise. For the next 4 years, Jason Crawford remained out on bond, waiting for his trial. During this time, he claimed that he received unwavering support from everyone, even his mother-in-law. He emphasized that among his family and friends, there was never any doubt about his innocence. They firmly believed that he could never be capable of harming his own wife. In the chilling month of November 2022, a courtroom drama of unprecedented proportions unfolded. Over 5 long years had passed since the death of Tiffany, and now the spotlight fell squarely on Jason Crawford as he stood trial for Tiffany's murder. Amidst the tense anticipation, prosecutor Jeff Roberts exuded unwavering confidence in his case, though he was acutely aware of the formidable hurdles ahead. On the other side of the legal battlefield, defense attorneys Robert Tutton and Nicholas Heatherly braced themselves for an uphill struggle, fully conscious of the weighty challenge that lay before them. Cheryl, Tiffany's mother, decided not to be a part of the trial due to her reluctance to know the unsettling details of her daughter's passing. However, she did attend the trial's first day, solely to give her testimony as the prosecution's initial witness. During her testimony, Cheryl stated that she had never experienced any conflicts with Jason. During the trial, the jury watched the 911 call and viewed portions of the body camera footage. Prosecutor Jeff Roberts put forth his argument, suggesting that Jason's supposed motive was rooted in his alleged anger over his wife's affair. During the court proceedings, a close friend of Tiffany recounted that Jason phoned her right after uncovering Tiffany's affair. He expressed his inability to endure a similar scenario once more, alluding to the pain he had previously suffered due to his first wife's unfaithfulness. However, Jason denied that he ever said that. Next on the stand was DNA analyst Angela Fletcher. She talked about her examination of swabs collected from Tiffany's gun. Angela's testimony revealed a crucial twist that the gun held only a faint trace of DNA. What intrigued her was the inconclusive presence of female DNA, too minuscule to confirm. Nevertheless, she definitively identified male DNA on both the grip and the trigger. The male DNA was so limited that she couldn't conclusively tie it to Jason Crawford. The profile's restrictions prevented any form of meaningful comparison, leaving a perplexing gap in the puzzle. In the courtroom, a pivotal battle unfolded over the scant traces of DNA found on the gun. The prosecution contended that Jason Crawford meticulously wiped the weapon clean before strategically placing it in Tiffany's hand. The defense countered, and he vehemently denied the assertion due to the lack of concrete evidence. In a dramatic courtroom twist, the defense presented a compelling piece of evidence, a recorded statement from Alabama's former top medical examiner, Dr. James Lauridsen. In his testimony, Dr. Lauridsen confidently asserted his belief that it was Mrs. Crawford herself who discharged the fatal shots. According to his analysis, the sequence unfolded with an initial gunshot to the left side of her face, followed by a second fatal shot to the left side of her head. Dr. Lauridsen went on to emphasize the complexity of the case, highlighting that determining the distance of the gun during the shot to Tiffany's temple was challenging due to the obstruction of her hair. In a surprising turn, the defense presented evidence suggesting that Tiffany was grappling with emotional turmoil. She had initiated counseling just 1 day before her death. The courtroom hushed as Tiffany's journal took center stage as evidence. Sentences from its pages, like pieces of a puzzle, were voiced aloud for the jury to hear. One entry, etched on May 2, 2017, the very day of her passing, revealed her inner turmoil. "I'm struggling with figuring out what to do with myself." Startlingly, Tiffany's closest companions took on the stand, recounting her excessive drinking habits and revealing a hidden layer of her life. It was disclosed that she was profoundly distressed after the abrupt end of an affair with a mysterious man. Stepping into the 4th day, the murder trial of Jason Crawford from Cullman has already gripped attention. This Thursday, a pivotal moment unfolded as Damon Cooper, a forensic expert hailing from the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences, took the witness stand. The defense tried to block Cooper's testimony, but Judge Martha Williams brushed their objections aside. During the trial, Cooper, the firearms examiner, pinpointed the weapon involved in Tiffany Crawford's death. He pointed to a .38 Special Ruger LCR revolver as the main evidence. With a meticulous approach, Cooper detailed how they swabbed the revolver and conducted tests to determine the stippling, the unburned gunpowder's path through the gun's barrel, and suit measurements. These tests were aimed to pinpoint the firing range of the weapon. Cooper mentioned that they focused on the gunshot to the victim's cheek. Testing ranges between 1 inch to 12 inches. However, they didn't test the gunshot to the victim's temple due to the complicating factor of the victim's hair. According to Cooper's findings, the shot that struck the victim's cheek had been discharged from a distance of 2 to 10 inches. What's more, he clarified that the gun was in indirect contact with her skin when it was fired. Amidst the courtroom tension, Logan, Jason's son, took the stand as a defense witness. He confidently recounted how he distinctly heard his father's presence within the house at the exact moment the ominous gunshot pierced the night. However, the prosecution skillfully probed his recollection, casting doubt on the reliability of his memory. Then, the trial was adjourned and was set to continue on Friday morning. As the trial reached its climax on November 18, all eyes were on Jason Crawford as he took the stand. With conviction, he professed his love for Tiffany and he vehemently denied any involvement in her tragic death. However, a startling admission emerged. He acknowledged verbally degrading Tiffany on that night, treating her as less than human. He confessed, acknowledging that his hurtful words might have played a role in her tragic decision. Despite Jason's emotional testimony, the absence of concrete physical evidence continued to cast a shadow over the case. After an intense 4-day courtroom saga, the jury's moment arrived. On that pivotal day in 2022, Jason Crawford's destiny rested in their hands. Among those jurors was Megan Brock, who revealed that the deliberation room was buzzed with uncertainty. Megan stated that a lot of people, herself included, were on the edge of uncertainty about whether Jason was responsible or not. Tiffany's mom, Cheryl McGuckin, also admitted feeling nervous for Jason and his family. After hours of deliberation, the jury asked to see the body camera footage. They also requested the 911 recording, which was the decisive moment. There, they found that the 911 operator kept asking Jason Crawford about who shot his wife, but he didn't answer this. The turning point came when the operator questioned Crawford about the gun's location. He clearly said that the gun was laying beside her, but the body camera footage actually showed her holding the gun, although in a weak way. This led the jury to a unanimous verdict. The jury took just 30 minutes to return to the courtroom and announce their verdict. Cheryl, who had been in the courtroom for only the second time, witnessed the moment. The jury declared Jason Crawford guilty of murdering his wife Tiffany. Jason expressed his shock, saying, "I couldn't believe it was happening. I was completely stunned." As March 10th, 2023 rolled in, the stage was set for Jason Crawford's sentencing. Despite fervent pleas of innocence from both Jason and his legal team, the gavel came down with a weighty thud. Jason was sentenced to 99 years behind bars. However, he will be eligible for parole in 15 years under Alabama law. As per official records, Jason is now detained at the Kilby Correctional Facility in Montgomery, Alabama. That day, Cheryl McGuckin returned to the stand during Jason's sentencing hearing. This time, she spoke on behalf of her daughter. With deep emotion, she expressed her bewilderment at how Jason, her son-in-law, could maintain eye contact with her for 5.5 years if he was responsible for her daughter's murder. This heartfelt statement took place in front of her own grandchildren, who were seated right at the front. Cheryl had no idea that Jason's parents were bringing them there. Now, Cheryl McGuckin, Tiffany's mother, is determined to ensure that her grandchildren hold their mother, Tiffany, in high regard. Cheryl's goal is for her grandchildren to always remember Tiffany's true essence and the principles she upheld. Cheryl fondly says, "Tiffany was like an angel who came to us briefly, showing us how to love, be kind, and give selflessly." In the end, the life of a loving mother, Tiffany Crawford, was cut short by an act of violence. Our hearts go out to the children and to her mother as they navigate this unimaginable loss. It serves as a solemn reminder of the importance of addressing domestic violence and providing support to those in need. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel because that makes this video possible, and here is another one you might enjoy.